So are you saying I'm not covered enough?
Let me be honest with you, Anne.
And they choose not to cover? Does that mean they're not Islamic enough?
There have been a lot of incidents where women get called ninjas.
Ninjas?
Yes, or letterboxes, shall I put. How would you feel if I did wear a niqab?
I think, blooming hell.
Now that's a bit worrying for me.
I don't want to sort of embarrass you or anything, but welcome to the Res podcast, where we say what others won't and taboo subjects get real. My name's Anne.
My name's Emaan. And I cannot be having a conversation about women uncovered as a Muslim woman. Because part of my faith is about Muslim women and modesty and covering.
Well, where does that fit? Is that because your husbands want you to cover?
No, it's got nothing to do with husbands. It's where women practice a certain religion, like Islam, then you are expected to cover.
Why are you expected to cover?
It's part of the faith, it's part of the religion. Islam is about women and about women being respected in society. We are Muslim women of faith, and then we are expected to cover. It's part of our faith. And it's also about choice. So although there are guidance provided in the Quran and in the teachings of the Prophet about women's covering, a lot of it is to do with personal choice. And although you don't see that in media nowadays, and there's a bit of a taboo on that, but it is. I mean, I cover because of my choice and because I like to follow my religion.
So are you saying I'm not covered enough?
Let me be honest with you, Anne. You are covered.
Thank you.
But obviously that's how you would like to be dressed, and that's modesty for you. As a Muslim woman, I dress differently, and that's modesty for me. It's my choice, and I'm following a particular faith. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you a woman of faith?
I am a woman of faith.
Okay, and can you explain and elaborate on that a bit more?
Yes, I'm a Christian, and I believe that I dress modestly. I would go into any place of worship dressed as I am now. I've got my shoulders covered, I've got my knees covered, I'm covered as far as I'm concerned. I would go into any Christian place of worship dressed like this, as I am now.
And do you believe that all Christian women dress the same?
No, all Christian women dress differently. But to go into certain places of worship in certain countries, you are expected to dress in a certain way.
Okay, so that expectation that you've just talked about, that you are expected to dress in a certain way, well, where does that come from? Does that come from the man?
No, not at all. It comes from the inner self. I don't know of any teachings that say that Christian women have to be covered. Years ago, of course, a woman wouldn't go into a place of worship, such as a church, without having their head covered. As a little girl, I would always go into church with a hat on. And on the odd occasion when I'd already been to church in the morning and I went again in an afternoon, because I went with family in a different part of the town or the country, then if I hadn't got my hat with me, my dad would put a handkerchief on my head. So we were expected to comply with certain cultural traditions.
So from an Islamic point of view, it's not a cultural tradition as such. It has been informed by the teachings of the Quran and the teachings of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It's not set in stone, it's not designed, it's not tailored as such. And this is the reason why you see lots of different Muslim women that may adapt or change how they dress their headscarf or how they wear their clothing. It's very different, and that could be cultural, and that could be constructed by society.
Right. So, if a woman is Muslim and they choose not to cover, but they still practice the Quran in all other aspects, and they dress what they perceive to be modestly, does that mean they're not Islamic enough?
No, I would not say that. I think faith is very personal.
I agree.
It's very spiritual.
Yeah.
And your understanding and interpretation of the guidance that you find in the Quran and your level of knowledge of the teachings of the Quran it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And people will increase in that knowledge, and they will adapt and change as they get further in their advanced in their teachings. So I would not turn around and say to a Muslim woman that's not covered to say that she's not to practicing Muslim, because she may practice her religion based on her choice.
Do other Muslim women think you shouldn't cover?
Not in particular. I have not come across anybody personally myself. However, there are Muslim women of opinion that may turn around and say that the covering of a Muslim woman, how it has been set out, may not be accurate or may not be what the teachings of the Quran tell us. As I said, that in the Quran is a book of guidance, and there isn't any set size or particular design or particular length or particular way.
So does it tell in the Quran, can you wear a miniskirt, for instance?
I could not say that it clearly describes a miniskirt. What it does say, that women should cover areas of their body and should not wear anything that draws attention to them. So
that's all well and good, but some of the scarves that you see Muslim women wearing are so pretty and so colour coordinated with their outfits that it does bring attention to them, particularly in a Christian country, a mainly Christian country.
How did I know you were going to say that? Yes, so that's where there might be these challenging discussions and questions about, is the covering of a Muslim woman actually Islamic or based on Islamic guidance from the Quran, or is it now become a fashion statement? And is it quite fashionable now to wear a headscarf? So yeah, that is a question to be asked, and that is a discussion to be had. From my perspective, I will do things that I think suit me, my lifestyle, my environment, so it doesn't draw negative attention to myself and it doesn't impact my well-being.
Yeah, and of course in some Christian communities, such as sisters, nuns, they do cover. They cover their heads, they cover their hair, they wear full-length robes. So in Christian culture, as well as different Christian denominations, they will cover their bodies. And they're women of faith, usually in different Christian communities. And I believe that goes across Catholicism and the Anglican Church and the Church of England and Church of Scotland and Ireland, etc.
So why is it that they cover and yet you're of faith and you don't, in the same way that they do?
Yeah, usually, and not always, but usually the sisters and the nuns have devoted themselves to Christ, and they've devoted themselves to the work of God, the work of people, working with people, and they cover to show respect and so that other people can see who they are as well. So if I see a nun or a sister of whatever denomination of the Christian faith, I will always show respect to them. I would always help them. I would always support them wherever they were in the community. And I'd almost be quite reverent towards them as well. Let me ask you something now. Do you believe that the way you dress makes you more religious or less religious than somebody who dresses differently?
Leave a comment below. We want to know your perspectives.
Now that's a bit worrying for me. Or actually it picks up, something in my mind turns around and says that why is it the fact that women of that particular faith, like nuns, are seen as a sign of respect, and yet me as a Muslim woman who's also covered and wants to be closer to her faith and practice her religion freely, wants to be respected, but yet she's stigmatized, that she's suppressed, she's more likely to be discriminated against, she's more likely to experience racism. And that really, really upsets me, that from one point of view, a covering of a woman is seen as a respectful sign, and everybody would respect that. And from another point of view, from another religion, it's seen as suppression, it's seen as something quite negative.
I think because the nuns and the sisters, they are usually unmarried women, and they've usually devoted their life to Christ and to God and to the service of God in lots of different ways. And of course, the priests as well, they wear, I was going to say uniform, but I don't mean uniform. I mean a certain type of clothing for different aspects. So if most people, if they see a man wearing a collar, a white collar, it usually denotes that they're a man of faith.
And yet, a Muslim man,
leader of faith. But I wouldn't know what an imam wears.
well, an imam would probably be recognised with similar, but it's not the fact that people from faith wear certain things because they are part of, they've kind of, they live their lifestyle according to their religion, as you said, they've devoted themselves to God. Because so I've done exactly the same. I'm quite devoted to my religion. I like to apply everything that I learn in my religion, in my day-to-day life. And so do imams. You know, they have families, they live in the community, they are probably more educated, they've learned a lot more about the Quran. They are there to guide us on the teachings of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet.
Yeah.
And they are there because obviously the Quran is in Arabic. They are there to help us read and understand the Arabic. But they do have families, and they do have jobs, and they have other things that they do in the community.
Yeah.
Yet they're not, although they are imams, they will still experience discrimination because they might have a beard, they might wear a hat, they might wear, it's not uniformed, but you know.
I didn't mean uniforms,
Yeah.
I meant clerical.
Yes, so their clothing might be different to.
But I would say that most nuns, sisters, and clergy, men and women, because let's not forget that in some churches women are ordained priests and bishops, that they will have experienced some sort of help me, I forgot the word.
Discrimination, racism.
Yeah, they will have experienced some sort of discrimination, negative discrimination. They will have approved that. Now, as a woman of faith, I too am continually trying to learn more about my faith and grow in my faith and grow in the love of Christ and the love of God. But I don't feel as I need to wear anything to symbolise that. I don't feel as though I need to, like, I would like to think that my Christian values are reflected in the way I live. And not always, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But I would like to think that I'm working towards being the best person I can be. But I don't have to wear anything. I mean, I often wear a crucifix, which unfortunately I'm not wearing today. But, and that would be the only outward sign, I think, that I'm a Christian.
And that's a great thing that you've got choice. And that's a great thing that you feel that you don't have to symbolise. And I don't think Muslim women as such would wear Muslim clothing because they want to be symbolised in a certain way. Mm-hmm. It is very much to do with the teachings of the Quran and the way of the life of the Prophet and his wives. And it's very much based around choice as well. I know that there is a lot of stigmatisation. There's been a lot of things in the media about certain particular countries imposing the hijab or imposing the Muslim clothing on women, and there's been lots of things going on and lots of complex, challenging discussions. But again, that is based around different countries, different interpretations, different ways of doing things. But you are right in what you said.
Is it culture as well, though?
That there might be certain countries that there is a specific culture of the way that women dress or the way that they, they are seen. Yeah. But to be honest, from my point of view and from my understanding, which again, I am still learning, it is about your connection, your spiritual and religious connection with God and your devotion to your religion. Mm. And that's very hard to explain to people, in particular from a Muslim women's point of view, because everything that's been happening in the world, everything that's been shown on social media, on TV, I think it's been put across as very negative, because the Quran is a book of guidance.
Yeah.
It is a book of guidance. I mean, I have not known my religion to be heavy on me. I've not known it to be strict on me. I've known it to be a routine, a day-to-day, implementing things in your life, just like you were saying, that you symbolise it in your actions, in what you do, in how you behave. And I'm not going to say that I'm not judged by people of non-Muslim faith, and I'm not going to say that I'm not judged by people that are of Muslim faith, because
I think sometimes we could be our worst critics, can't we, on ourselves?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I would probably not, and the reason why I say that is because I don't wear the normal black or I dress in a certain way, but I have to be mindful that I'm a working professional Muslim woman, and then I have to be mindful that I don't want to draw negative attention to myself when I am outdoors, because there has been a lot of incidents where hijabs have been pulled off women.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of incidents where women get called ninjas.
Ninjas?
Yes, or letterboxes, shall I put?
Letterboxes?
Because of their niqab.
Oh, right. And that's the niqab when people wear a veil?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be quite traumatising for women in particular. That can knock your confidence. People will be quite worried to get it out then if they are labelled or named in such a way or stigmatised. And for that reason, I adapt mine so that I feel safe, both physically and mentally, when I am out there working.
Yeah. Would you ever wear a niqab?
I have been thinking about it quite a lot lately.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Why?
Again, maybe I'm on a different journey in my religion,
right.
And I've probably got to a stage where I might have advanced a little bit, and it's now appealing to me that I should probably adapt to that. Maybe I would like to, at some point in my life, I would like to wear a niqab.
Is it hiding behind something?
No, I think for me, I think the thing that appeals to me more about the niqab is just wanting people to see me as a person, not based on the way that I look, because yes, you hide behind a niqab, but you as a person still, is there. And people aren't judging you by the way that you look. They know you as a person. And on the other side, I probably do have those a bit of concerns that then people will be looking directly at my eyes. I don't like that very much.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah. But I just wonder with niqabs, niqab?
Yeah.
With the niqab, how people do everyday things like communicate with people, and because like myself, I don't hear very well, so I do a lot of lip reading informally without knowing I'm even doing it till I can't see somebody's face.
Yeah.
And it's just the communication. I don't know how.
I think people get used to it. I have worked with people who wear niqabs, and it's never been an issue.
How do they eat?
Oh, you would lift your niqab, and you'd probably eat somewhere where you're not in public, maybe, I don't know, but you'll lift it and you'll have your meal. But people find a way and they'll adapt and change.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to ask, how would you feel if I did wear a niqab and worked in the office?
I'd think, blooming hell, Emaan's wearing a niqab, I wonder why. And I'd ask him, why you wearing a niqab? I don't think it wouldn't make any difference to our relationship at all. But I'd be very curious. And I'd be curious about things that would be totally ridiculous, really, about, like, can you breathe properly? And does it get really warm? Because when I wore a mask in COVID, it was quite uncomfortable sometimes. But I suppose it's open at the sides, isn't it?
Yeah.
A niqab.
Yeah.
Will it dangle in your tea?
No,
and your coffee,
not
things like that,
Not always, but let's just take you back a little bit.
Yeah.
If I was to wear a niqab and come for an interview, and there were other people or other women that also came for an interview, would that go against me?
No, I don't think it would. Not with me. I can't say as I've ever interviewed anybody, and I've got extensive experience of interviews, but I can't say as I've ever interviewed anybody in a niqab. So I would like to say it wouldn't go against it, but as I say, I've got no evidence to suggest that. If somebody said that they wouldn't take a niqab off and I needed them to, I can't think of a reason off the top of my head, I would make sure that the interview process was fair, but perhaps was mainly with women interviewers, or see what other adaptations could be made so that that person felt as comfortable as they possibly could. Because I understand, I don't know, but I understand from something in the back of my mind that you don't have to wear a niqab in front of other women. That's right. Is that right?
That's correct.
It would only be in mixed company or when you were out and about and didn't know if you were going to come into contact with men.
That's correct. I do know of a colleague who did have an interview. It was an online interview, and she did take off a niqab for that interview.
Yeah. Did she get the job?
I think she probably might have done. I don't know, but I do know she was panicking because she had never removed her niqab. And I didn't know, and I didn't ask the question whether that was a requirement of the interview that she had to remove the niqab. So yeah, that I'm not sure about. As a Muslim woman, I sometimes feel uncomfortable, or in my head I feel that other people feel uncomfortable about my covering, and I sometimes do feel that I might be judged differently or seen differently, especially in situations where there might be interviews or there might be progression as a Muslim woman. I do feel that is based around the stigma that is associated with Muslim women. One, that they're suppressed. One, that they probably aren't educated enough. That they can be controlled, that they can be told what to do, and they will listen to, those kind of, you need to do this and you need to do that. I've had some personal experiences myself where I do feel that I might have been discriminated in certain situations because I was a Muslim woman.
Right. So I don't want to sort of embarrass you or anything, but how do you feel as though you were discriminated against?
As a Muslim woman, I do find that I feel that I do not have the same privileges as a white woman would have. I call it the white privileges. In particular, when I want to do things such as traveling on my own, I feel that in certain places I will feel uncomfortable, I will be noticed and I will be looked at. I'll just give one example, if I may. A lot of my colleagues like to meet up at a pub after work or for a meeting or for a social gathering. And when I do walk into a pub, I don't drink any alcohol, but I'm going there for the purpose of the meeting or to be with my colleagues or to be supportive. I do find a lot of the time, a lot of people at the pub do look at me, and it does sometimes make me feel uncomfortable. I do feel when I'm traveling, I have to be mindful about where I go, what places I go, and often I do feel in certain places or countries I will be looked at. There was one situation where I was coming back from Prague, and I was stopped there for quite a long time with two women having a conversation in a language that I couldn't understand, and looking at me and having a conversation and looking at me and having a conversation. And there was a queue of people behind me that were also on the same aeroplane as myself, and thinking, what's going on? And I just felt that it was because I was the only woman in that queue wearing a headscarf and of colour. And I just felt that people might probably be getting uncomfortable about the situation, about me being a Muslim woman, and this questioning going on. I kept looking back and I could see people's faces and frustration. And then I did ask the question, and in the end, it was just the fact that they said, why is my name Emaan Saeed? My name's Emaan Saeed. Why? Why is there a problem? Well, that name is normally a man's name. And I said, no, it's Saeed. They said Saeed is a man's name. And I said, yeah, it's my married name. So I've taken my husband's name as my married name. And that conversation that they had went on for a good half an hour to 45 minutes, just to do with the fact that they didn't agree that my name should be my name as a woman. It should be a Muslim man's name. Anyway, that's just, So I do feel sometimes that I'm limited with what I can do as a Muslim woman, or I don't have the same privileges that you may have as a white woman.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain places that I wouldn't walk, go. But usually that's just for my own, I'm just protecting my own safety, And it's very interesting to talk about privilege. I've done quite a bit of research on privilege, and I think there's some experiments that we can perhaps talk about at a later date and have a go at, to see exactly how people's perception of privilege change and alter, and their perspective isn't always what it seems to be.
That would be very interesting, actually.
It is very interesting. I was gobsmacked when I looked at it and heard people's reactions afterwards. I didn't actually take part in it, I have to say.
That probably would be a very good training package.
Yeah, to look at people's perceptions of advantage, disadvantage, and privileges. I accept I've had lots of privileges that perhaps some other people wouldn't have, but not to do with race or people's religion or creed. But then, you know, we're all on a learning curve, aren't we? We all need to investigate and have a go at looking at these things.
I think one of the things that I did find about things around equality, diversity and inclusion, things about racism and discrimination or injustice, it was mainly to do with how did that particular incident, that event or that situation make the other person feel.
Yeah.
And if that, in any circumstances, whether it's a Muslim woman of faith, whether it's any other woman, whether it's any other person, how did that situation make them feel?
Yeah.
And if for any reason it made them feel that they were being treated differently, then there is a problem there and there is an issue there.
Yeah.
And if I was just to give an example of one of our cases that we dealt with, where a mother is just going for admission for her daughter's
To a school.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah. It was from when she spoke about it with pain and anger and hurt. And she was a very professional woman.
Absolutely right.
And she wasn't covered actually, but she was a Muslim woman. And she was in a professional capacity.
Yeah.
And she said, I have never ever felt so discriminated in my whole life as I was made to feel on the day. And it was only with the way that she was spoken to, the body language that she was getting, you know, that was making her feel like you should not be here. What are you doing here? Well, yes, that was her experiences, but the outcome of it was one, a simple letter.
Yes, it was.
Very, very simple letter led to a very internal, small little investigation. The matter was resolved and the daughter was admitted into the school.
And he's doing very well.
And is doing very well. So I think it's more or less about how somebody makes you feel. So me walking on the street, actually I had a bit of an incident yesterday that I would like to talk about.
I don't know about this, do I?
No, you don't. So over the years, I've been able to deal with some of these things by putting some strategies and coping mechanisms myself. One of the things that I tend to do is I don't have a wide view. I have a very narrow vision. I will only look ahead.
Yeah.
And I will only focus on the things that I need to focus on for that particular situation.
Yeah.
I don't care what's going on anywhere within my view, within my sight. So yesterday I was picking up some sweets, some Indian sweets, in a particular area that I don't know very well. I walked in the shop, I gave my order. And as I gave my order, another customer came along, he was on his phone, and he gave his order. And I did not notice who he was or what he looked like. Literally, I was just focused on my order, gave my order, paid my money and walked out. As I was walking to my car, one of my old colleagues, or shall I say somebody I know, have not met physically, but I have networked with, called me. And I was surprised why they were calling me, because we've never, had calls like that, we've never spoken on an individual basis in that way. And they messaged me and said, were you at such and such shop? And I said, yes. Why? And he said, because I was there. And I said, were you the man standing right next door, right next to me? And he said, yes, I was stood right next to you. And I said, I do apologize. I wasn't being rude, but I don't look anywhere. I'm very focused on what I'm doing. And that was like kind of a hit and miss. But the point he made, and I said, why didn't you say something? And he said, I didn't think the environment was
Conducive.
yes, it just wasn't appropriate for me to turn around and say, "Oh, hello," and that was literally, it was respect at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Being a Muslim woman, being in a kind of a very ethnic Muslim, shall I say, based environment, that he didn't feel that he wanted to approach me in that way, because we only actually speak online or networking events or various other things. But that's because I've trained myself not to look elsewhere. And there's a couple of times people have said, well, I was trying to wave at you while you were driving. Well, I wouldn't know because I'm not looking. Or
that could be dangerous.
well, I'm only
I
looking.
know what you mean.
I know, yeah.
No, I know exactly
Or
what you
somebody
mean.
might say, well, I was trying to.
You're a very safe driver.
I'm a very safe driver, yes, should I say. Or when I'm out and about, if I'm shopping, I'm focusing on my shopping and I'm not looking at anybody else that might be there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And that's what I do when I'm abroad. I think when I'm abroad, I don't want to see what people are looking, frowning, or whatever looks they might be giving. I'm just trying to avoid that kind of stress or tension that somebody might be looking at me and that might be discriminative in certain ways.
I do think, actually, that some cultures, and I think British culture is the same, you don't usually give people eye contact out in the street. Now, in other countries, everybody looks straight into your eyes as you're walking past them. But I don't think in this country we tend to be like that. We might say good morning to people, but you don't give people eye contact. Especially young men, I don't think they give each other eye contact. Because it looks as though they might want to fight. I don't know.
So going back to what you said when we started the podcast, let's talk about women uncovered. Have we covered? Have we covered
I think
the
we
topic?
probably have.
If you enjoy these type of conversations, subscribe to our channel and we will see you for our next video.